Three, two, one. Welcome to the Hunters Hub. This is your host, Vortwan. We are the video game podcast born of the Monster Hunter community, but we talk about more than just Monster Hunter. And Ace was trying to throw me off there with his little diddly hands, or whatever that was.
Antlers. Moose antlers.
The wavy moose antlers. Again, this is your host, Vortwan, joined by co-host Sasha. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Doing A-okay.
Doing good. Had a nap. Woke up to there being pizza. And then woke up to there being results from the Creator Clash event that's going on right now.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys saw that. It's like 16, 18 YouTubers in Tampa, Florida, all doing like their first boxing events.
Yes, I saw that Aaron Hansen is one of the contenders because I saw it pop up on my YouTube feed. It was like, yes, Aaron's actually boxing. I'm like, okay, what YouTube stunts are they doing now? So, yeah, I got it. I got it. So
apparently he did not win, as Andrea informed me a couple minutes ago.
Oh,
he was up against Harley Mortenstein from Epic Mealtime.
Is that the guy, the main guy who runs it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy's like 6'7". I get it. Yeah. Like, yeah, I used to watch him, Epic Mealtime. He's actually in Video Game High School. You guys ever seen that short internet series? He was on Netflix for a while. That's pretty fun. He was the principal in it. He just yells at the kids all the time. He just like brings them into the office and yells at them. So yeah. Okay, cool. Tonight is video game news night, so we're gonna touch on some video game news stuff that we missed during the month of us doing other things like the the quiz show, and then Monster Hunter Week, and then some other stuff. And we have a potentially weird plan for the next wildcard episode. I'm not sure if we're going to do it or not. We had mentioned my crazy dating tales. I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that yet or not. Who knows? I will say I'm doing something exciting on Monday. I don't know if it's going to work out, but I am talking to a loan officer getting a house. So
that's exciting news.
Yeah, I don't know if if they're going to come back and say like, yeah, we will loan you nothing. You will get nothing. Because I did have my identity stolen a couple years ago, and that's what I'm most worried about. Is that still affecting me? Supposedly it's taken care of, but I just don't trust it. Because that was stressful. I don't know if you were on the show, Ace, when that happened, but did I talk about that at the time? Because that was another max stress.
I don't know if I was on there at the time, but I know about it. I mean, we've talked about it a lot, both on and off the show.
Yeah, it was. It was a rough week.
I had my brief experience with that, with my Etsy account being briefly compromised, and then someone paying themselves $160, but I got that back pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Mine was because of the Equifax breach. If you guys remember that, where Equifax leaked a bunch of like people got into the Equifax database and got like people's social security numbers, so like they had my social and everything. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. And then a couple of years later, Bethesda essentially followed up with the same thing with their support queue for Fallout 76 and doxed a bunch of people.
Yep. They certainly did. That was part of the Fallout 76 debacle. Speaking of Fallout, I've still been playing New Vegas here and there.
Okay, so how far?
I had to restart. I had to go back because I accidentally talked to the satellite. And as in accidentally, as in I didn't know what it was going to do. It took me to the Blue Mountain DLC, and I was not ready for that at like level 4 or 5.
Oh, Old World Blues.
Yeah,
you started Old World Blues. Yeah,
it was
early
rough
for that.
I had like 40 sticks of dynamite, and I blew 20 of them on one dude, and he didn't budge. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I had to reload. Um,
I mean, that's what Easy Pete told you, that you can barely handle these sticks of dynamite.
yeah, he certainly did. So I actually restarted back at the point where I told you where the guy tried to kill me because I went and took care of the lizards. Like
Yes.
that is where I restarted, and I got back. I basically got back through rescuing the deputy from the prisoner area, and that's what I have done so far.
Do you
Interesting.
intend to make him the sheriff of Prim?
No, there was something about repairing a robot to do it, and I'm trying to go that route.
That's right. That's the right answer.
I just don't have enough science or repair skill yet, so I'm kind of
Not yet.
I'm gonna come back. I've still been prioritizing speech, but I've been ever since I had my run in with the DLC. I've been like, nah, I'm gonna prioritize guns a little. Like I'm I want to be able to fight. Like this feels like I need to be able to do things other than just miss. So
Yes, yes, you do need at least one weapon skill, but I do recommend you pick speech or barter, something to help you get along as well.
oh yeah, my speech is at 50 already, I think, and
Respectable.
which is like what they call average because and I've been doing a lot of lock picking stuff too. Um, it's been mostly good. The only problem I have really with the game at this point is the fact that it's old enough that it takes up a screen of the computer and everything else. Like even though I have three monitors, it only allows me to interact with that one screen, and like even in windowed mode, it just shoves everything completely unreachable. So like I can't multitask while I'm
Yeah.
playing like I normally like to do on PC. So it has to be like, okay, I am ready to sit down and immerse myself, which is fine for the game. I understand that's the kind of vibe that kind of game wants to do. But sometimes I want to listen to a podcast while I'm playing a game, and it's very hard to pause that podcast and go do something and come back to the game. It's just, it,
I feel like you're
Right.
really missing out if you're not listening to the radio in New Vegas.
yeah, I haven't yet, no.
That's how I feel about
What?
the radio in Mafia 2, because they have a lot of fun songs on the soundtrack for Mafia 2 that play in the
Yeah,
real world,
to be
or in
honest,
the
the couple
world
of
as you're going
radios that
around.
I've found, I come up to them and I turn them off in the game.
I I pretty much exclusively just have my radio on the whole time, turn my Pit-Boy on, have the radio playing.
Yeah,
I didn't know you could do that. I was just walking into rooms and there was a radio playing and I'm just like, that's annoying. I'm going to turn
Well,
that
I
off.
do that.
Yeah.
I also do that, but it's because I already have it playing on my Pit-Boy, so it just makes it really loud when I walk in a room and it starts
I
playing in the other corner.
when I'm not listening to something else, I will turn on the Pip-Boy to see how it goes. I've also transitioned away from using a controller to play to full keyboard and mouse. Um,
hmm
I feel like that's better. Um, because I had the controller plugged in for when I tried to test out some Doom for the stream stuff I was going to do, and I just left the controller plugged in because why not? Why bother unplugging and plugging something in? And when you have the controller plugged in for this game, it's like, no, we're just going to use the controller. I'm like, but I don't want to. Okay, so I just used the controller because it wouldn't allow me not to, and then I just unplugged the controller. It's like, screw this. I just want to use a mouse and keyboard. So
I've only played New Vegas one time, like one run through on the computer,
hmm
and I thought it felt really unnatural because I've only played it on console, so only ever played it with
hmm
controller. So I really only could tolerate using melee weapons when I played it on computer.
sure.
The point and
Right.
click bit was hard for me to get used to.
As much as they say that shooters are easier with the mouse, I don't always agree with that. Like, I actually prefer to play the modern Dooms on a controller, um, because I like the problem is the buttons, right? Like, for me, it's just like they want you to press like 6 and 7 different buttons, and on a controller, not a problem. They're right there. You just move a different move your thumb to the corresponding, like, ingrained in my head since I was 2 face button positions that my thumb's going to be at. And then the triggers, since I've been like 13, like those are easily done. But it was something with this game, it doesn't require a lot of buttons for me. It just doesn't bother me. Now I will say the shortcuts are harder to use on the keyboard than on the controller. Like, because the shortcuts on the controller is just the D-pad. Like, you just press a direction on the D-pad and you're good. You just swap your weapons out. So I haven't like completely stopped playing on controller, but the keyboard was just like, I just don't want to deal with the controller right now, because like it's at it's at this computer and I'm like I have to like sit a little further back and I'm like this and I'm like, it's just not comfortable. You know what I mean? It's just like not comfortable because I don't have anywhere to put my hands because my keyboard's right there.
Mhm.
It's like lay my hands on my keyboard, or like, because who holds the controller all the way up all the time? like like this. Like I don't do that.
That's why you gotta just get like an armrest system for your gaming chair that just has like 2 concave rests that you can just rest in and just.
They go up. Like I can do this. Like I the game chair, I can just put my elbows on like this, and I was doing that, but it just feels awkward. You know what I mean? Like it feels like I'm in a high chair at that point because like your arms are so far up. So yeah, it's one of the motivators for getting a place. I have more room because like this is my living space when I play games. Like this is it. You almost see half of it. Like so yeah. There was something else I was going to talk about too before we got into this and I can't remember. So forget it. News stories tonight. We got a couple. So Ace, why don't you start us off? I do think we do have to mention the Monster Hunter stuff in general.
Well,
which we will cover in greater detail next week, but it did happen this week.
Well, Capcom had a digital Monster Hunter event, and 1,001 fanboys lost their minds when Agnaktor was not announced for the game, but a volcanic Almudron instead.
Yeah. So
been seeing a lot of memeing on that on Twitter lately.
Yeah. So Sasha, to explain, they made a subspecies of a monster and turned it into lava monster version of itself, when there's already several very fan loved lava monsters that fit in the exact same spot.
So this was not a good thing. We're not happy losing our minds about it.
I'm largely indifferent to it.
It's interesting.
The only flag that I raise is that they have the baby version of it already on the map.
Yes, that's the problem. So Agnaktor is the one that people are flipping out about, because Agnaktor is of the same monster category, is a lava monster, and it's young already in the game. So like, what the heck? Okay, so yeah, we're just gonna turn the mud Leviathan into a lava Leviathan. That's cool. That's fine. We're good.
It's like if they had a Mario game and they had Baby Bowser in the game, and then the main villain of the game was just like Waluigi.
Okay.
I was gonna say the Mario 2 one, the frog that only appeared in Mario 2.
I haven't played Mario 2, so
the Mario 2. I don't remember his name, but like the Mario 2 frog, because it was a reskin of Doki Doki Panic, just like. But that's not fair, because Bob-ombs were from Doki Doki Panic too, and they've become a Mario staple, so it's not really fair. But anyways, Wart, that was his name, Wart. I just remembered it, and you had to throw turnips in his mouth so he would fart. And it was just a weird fight.
Throw turnips in his mouth. That is weird.
Yep. and he dies, and then he farts, and that's the end of the game.
All right.
That was actually the first video game I ever beat, was Mario 2.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay, so I'm going to use it to segue to the first news article that I have,
Mm-hmm.
which is about kids apparently having a higher intelligence if they played video games. So maybe your IQ is 2.5 points higher because you beat Mario when you were a child.
I do tell my kids when they're like, "Daddy, help me beat this." I was like, at this age, I've already beaten 10 games, kid. You can do it. Like, I do kind of use that against them, but
You tell your children to get good.
essentially, I did see
Yeah.
a really funny parody video this week about just get good. It was like this live action thing of like, I think it was supposed to be Elden Ring. They were talking like, no, it wasn't Elden Ring. It's Dark Souls because they had the Sunbro, the Solaris guy, and he was like, "Bro, Solaris, I need your help. I need to get better." And then he's like, "Get good," and he's like, "No, F get good. F all you to say that. That's not real advice. I need advice. What do I do?" And then like he goes on a tirade, and then he's like, "No, no, no, you don't understand. Get good doesn't mean that. It means there is no secret weapon. It's been inside of you the whole time." And it was just like this weird video of just like why get good
Interesting.
was supposed to be a positive thing that got turned into this negative thing, I guess. And it was like, okay, I get it. So yeah, so kids are smarter for playing games.
Yes. So the source of this is the Karolinska Institute in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit about their experimental design. They had 9,000 children participate in this study. So around age 9 or 10, they did baseline IQ testing and assessment testing on them, and they interviewed their parents about how much screen time they got and what they did with their screen time, whether it was social media, video games, or watching TV, movie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
2 years later, they followed up, redid all the testing, and found the following: that children who spend an above average amount of time playing video games increased their intelligence more than the other groups, and that the intelligence gain was an average of 2.5 IQ points higher than what is considered baseline or average IQ. And these were 9,000 American children that were studied. Above average amount of screen time was over 2 hours of screen time. And they found that children who spent more of their time doing TV or social media did not have a positive or negative effect on their IQs. They're pretty much the same when they were retested.
That makes sense. Yeah, I don't.
Yep.
I don't.
So
feel...
video games make you smart.
That's good to hear. I don't consider myself a particularly smart person, but you know, it's something in my corner. Although it doesn't help that I have like a genius for a brother, so. I was going to say there were some other things in the digital event that we didn't cover because we got it was, you know, we'll touch on it real quick, but we got the same treatment, exact same thing. We got a subspecies of an ice monster when we could have had Zamtrios, which was different kind of monster, but still an ice monster that is also teased and has young in the game. Now, I have seen a backlash of that, of people saying, well, just because these are in it doesn't mean that we're not getting, you know, other monsters. But what? And then we also got this really cool thing about switch skills, and we got the return of Seregios, aka Steve. And Ace, do you know why it's called Steve?
Yeah, because of the Rage Gaming ecology video.
Actually, no, it's not. I figured this out lately. it was, you know, I used to think it was because Reddit started saying it. It wasn't because of Reddit either. It was Yuri, the Capcom of America, uh, you know, liaison. What do they call him? The community leader is his title for Capcom of
Hmm.
America. And someone asked him on the video of it debuting, do we have a name for this flagship monster? And he's like, just call it Steve. It's literally there in the YouTube comments, and people just like ran with it. See, I thought it came for the fact that we already had Joe for Devil Joe, and like we need another
Hmm.
normal name for a monster, so we're gonna call it Steve. And so yeah, big returning monster. Sasha, I know you don't know too much about that, but it's a big deal for a lot of people. A lot of people like this monster as well. Um, we've only seen him twice. He's only been in two U.S. Technically three U.S. No, two. Sorry, there was a bug on me. Um, I think only two U.S. I don't know if he was in.
Technically 3. I'm pretty sure he was in Generations, and then Generations Ultimate, as well as 4 Ultimate.
Yeah, that's the one I
I'm
was
pretty
saying.
sure.
Like, that's the one I'm saying I don't know because Generations didn't have a desert. Generations Ultimate right in the desert. Gosh darn it, bug.
Mm.
Quit
I don't
fucking
know
me
then.
out.
You may have confused me into not knowing now.
Sorry. But one thing I do want to talk about this digital event again, not revealing a ton of information. I'm so excited about that because I counted it up.
Hmm.
We're only at 9 revealed monsters or something like that. Like that's amazing. If we get the full 30 like we did with Iceborne, that's pretty good considering we got every single monster spoiled outside of the boss monsters that are never
Hmm.
spoiled. So
Yeah.
we might actually have some surprises, which could be Ignactor and Zamtrius, right? Because like I don't want it to disservice. We did get the two variants, which is an ice version of Somnicanth and a magma version of Almudron. Like though I think those are cool in their own right. I don't think there's anything terrible with them, but um, it's just weird to have like two other monsters that were teased that fill the same role, and you're like,
Hmm.
okay, what are you doing, Capcom? Like,
Well, even if they're not in the game, they're still in the series, and we can still play the old games and/or be hopeful for newer games as well.
I don't have time to play the same game over and over and over. I got new games to complete, like Fallout New Vegas. Not new, but new to me. And then I've got to start on Mass Effect, right? Like I got that. Oh, I saw when I was at the game store Wednesday because I normally go there to play Flesh and Blood. Um, I was just looking around while we were waiting for things to start, and I saw Mass Effect Andromeda there for $5. So
Yeah,
I didn't
that's a
get it.
steal
I didn't get it, but I was like, I know it's gonna be here because no one's gonna buy this.
for sure.
Hmm.
For sure.
I will wait because I don't want to play it if I haven't played the other ones. I feel like
It actually, I don't really think it matters. It's
I
a totally independent story. I mean,
I
they,
understand it is, but I kind of want to feel like I want to be indoctrinated to go in at its supposed lowest point. Supposed, I will say that.
Mm.
I know you won't like. What would you say is your least favorite Mass Effect game, Sasha?
ooh, um,
So what is the lowest point to you?
oof. If we're talking about like OG series before remastered, probably the original. The original game is
Mm,
so broken that like if it was not for the writing, the characters, like all the development of the world, I would not have powered through that
mm.
to be able to enjoy 2 and 3. So it is a testament to how good I think all of the space opera stuff is, but
Okay.
Andromeda, before the remastered, Andromeda was, I think, the most technically sound out of all the games. And then they just took all of that, and it's through remastered now, it's all like that. all the
Mm,
combat is like Andromeda, with the exception of there's some specific abilities that are only in Andromeda.
sure. Okay.
But
Okay. Conversely, Ace, what is your least favorite Monster Hunter?
Mm,
It's an easy one for me. It's Try because it had the lowest amount of monsters. But
I haven't played that one yet, so I don't know.
when you go from like the 67 or something of Freedom Unite, and then the next game you go to 18, it was a pretty rough
Yeah.
transition.
Um, I don't know. I guess I'd have to say maybe 4 Ultimate, just because
mm.
DS is such a cramped console for the hands.
Yeah, like
Like it's better since I got the 3D printed grip that I have for it now, but like it definitely became painful to play. I would say almost more so than the PSP, just because of how they had the layouts and
yep.
like I don't know about yours, but that gray little nub that they have on the
It's supposed to be
3DS
your right
XL for like
stick.
the directional thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has like a indentation from my nail from like how hard I've like dug into that to
Oh
move
yeah, mine's
directions around.
my original 3DS one split.
Mm,
Yeah, I had to get a replacement. I actually got a replacement that sat over it and made it a bigger button, made it more like a PSP. I remember the PSP left stick that was like a wider than the actual thing. Like it was actually the part of the stick was sitting on top of the plastic instead of it was just like really thin and large for some reason. Like
right.
it acted like that.
I wish they'd just found a way to get another stick in the hardware without having it to be like the slide-on attachment that you could get for it.
Yeah, I don't understand how you want to play a 3D game without two sticks. I just don't. I just without movement and camera control, I don't understand 3D games. Like I just don't. Unless it's like a single point of view, like an isometric where you're not changing directions of camera often, and then or like a racing game maybe. Like a racing game I could
Right.
see you doing without another stick. Like that's fine because you want to mostly be looking forward. I know some people like to look in a rearview mirror or something to see like how can I screw over the guy behind me kind of thing. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't need a stick for that. That's a button. So yeah, I don't know how they expected to do that. So, um, yeah, I don't. The digital event was short. It basically had three monsters, and we got to see there's a way to switch skill sets, and that's
Yeah.
it. That's all it was. It wasn't very long, and we still have the same release date of June 30th, so it wasn't delayed. I was almost kind of wondering that. I was like, are we going to get
I
delayed?
I will I will say there was a I have to look at it again and maybe look up the weapon on the site to see if they've confirmed it at all, but it looks like the bow has a new mechanic with the switch skill where you should like explosive targets onto the wall and then uh, your partners can run the monster into those explosive targets.
That was an
I don't
endemic
know if you
life.
saw
They
that.
showed that. They showed it was an endemic
Oh,
life. Yeah.
boo.
All the
All right.
fun stuff is a bug you throw on someone. Boo. um So, one of the other ones that's closely related to this that I wanted to talk about is the fact that Capcom at their earnings meeting talked about that they want to release multiple major new titles before the end of the next fiscal year. Um,
hmm
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean new series. However, multiple major. So, like, what would you guys think are major Capcom series that we could see? Monster Hunter is the obvious one. Sunbreak's counted in that count, guaranteed.
Dead Rising.
Dead Rising could be one. Okay.
I would be excited about that.
Isn't Resident Evil, and then
Oh.
is Mega Man one, or is that Sega?
Ooh.
No, Mega Man's Capcom.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, a lot of people were hoping for
Um,
Mega Man. Some people hoping for Devil May Cry as well, as I saw. The problem is like it's gotten really weird for Capcom in the past couple of years, right? Like
mhm.
because they went from what was Capcom's big titles like in the past. It would have been Mega Man, it would have been Street Fighter, and it would have been Resident Evil, right? Like those are like
Mhm.
their big three pillars. Street Fighter's been a joke essentially for the past 10 years. And I make that as a joke. Like my good buddy Jacob, who's on Bickering Bucks, is a huge Street Fighter fan. One of the running jokes on there is that Street Fighter sucks, and I just don't let him answer, and I just keep talking, and don't let him rebut. But like it's been a pillar of Capcom for a long time. It just doesn't seem that way right now. And it seems like Capcom
Mhm.
was big on fighting games for a long time, and you don't see a ton of those anymore. To me, the only really big notable release of like a fighting game was like what? There was the Power Rangers one, Fight for the Grid, 2 years ago, and then there was
Mhm.
Mortal Kombat 11, which was like 3 years ago. And
Well,
Yeah.
they did release Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That was a pretty big deal, I think.
did that Marvel vs. Capcom 3? They Oh, you're
Yeah,
talking about
and that's-
Infinite?
No, there's Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and
Hmm.
it's like a huge roster of Capcom and Marvel game characters.
No, yeah, because Infinite was the one that had Black Panther, right? They had Black Panther right after the. I gotta look this up. I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have more details, but I don't play fighting games.
I don't know. Like I was joking, we
Infinite's
could
the
just see a
latest
multi.
Like, because 3 was 2011.
Yeah, and then so you're right, Infinite.
Yeah,
But
Infinite
Marvel
was.
vs. Capcom is its own like.
Yeah, its own franchise. Yeah, Infinite was the one that the first time they included a Monster Hunter fighter. They had a girl hunter in Rathalos gear. That was interesting because we were like, hey, she deserves a spot. Someone in Monster Hunter does. And they were cowards and went with the hunter. Cowards, I say. Cowards. Put a monster in. You cowards.
Like I was gonna say, like I was joking earlier, we could just get a bunch of Monster Hunter spin-offs. Have one of those be Monster Hunter Brawlers, and just have a list of like all the monsters in the game, and they just fight each other.
I don't know how that works for some of them. Like, that's just not fair. I guess you could do
It'd be
it.
chaos.
Well, you could do it something like Warpath Jurassic Park. You had like a Velociraptor that was a selectable character versus a T-Rex. It was just like, yeah, this Velociraptor, even for the movie, is way too big. Like, they just upscaled a lot of the smaller monsters. Like, okay, sure.
No, I will totally slap your Delameter with my Zamtrios. Get ready, buddy.
That almost sounds like some code dirty talk.
Yeah, it did.
Slap your
'Cause,
Delameter.
I mean, there was whatever that game was that they played on Game Grumps, where it's like the mechs, and one of the mechs that you could choose is Big Zam, and it fills like half of the screen.
Yes, yeah, Big Zam, yeah. I think it was. No, it wasn't Zoids. It was Gundam. It was something Gundam. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as familiar.
Sounds about right.
So Dead Rising is a good one. I wouldn't have thought of, honestly, because I've only ever dabbled in the first one. Like, I don't think I've finished any of them.
Right.
Mega Man's just a big hope for everybody, because actually they had Mega Man 11 not that long ago, so there's hope for like a Mega Man 12 or something.
I think they just released another like Mega Man package on Xbox recently. So
That
that
makes
is a
sense.
decent guess.
Yeah. I could see Mega Man happening. Yeah. Devil May Cry, I'm not so sure. I feel like that came out just a few years ago too. DMC 5
Hmm.
or whatever, Devil May Cry 5. Oh wait, I can't say DMC. That's the one people hate. That's the, that's where he didn't have white hair.
What if they surprise revive the Lost Planet series?
Oh, I'd love that. I made so many references to the Acrid and a lot of like my Remoraz article for D&D, because the Remoraz
Hmm.
there are these giant bugs that have like superheated stuff. I was like, why is it not Acrid? What couldn't it just be like this superheated biofuel that's inside of them? I'll just make it Acrid, and then I turned a Remoraz into an Acrid, and it was fun. And no one got the reference because I'm a nerd.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Mm-hmm.
I make references all the time.
It's
Plus,
Mega Man.
at work, we in our group chats, because we use Teams.
Mm-hmm.
We have the ability to send gifts and stuff.
Yeah,
Half the time, people are asking what the stuff I send is from.
it's a good selling
Meanwhile,
point.
it's something from like Kung Pao Into the Fist.
I love that movie. Sasha, have we talked to you about that movie? I don't know. We've made several references.
I've seen that movie,
You don't like it?
but I've only seen it once.
Okay, that's I love that movie. It's one of my favorites, but also I'm more into comedies than anything. Oh, that reminds me. I watched one of the movies on the list.
Which one?
Ooh.
The Ritual.
Okay.
Mm.
And I will say I'm not displeased with the movie. It was fine. I didn't find it particularly scary. It was actually interesting in some parts. However, it does fall into the category as to why I don't normally watch these movies, because it's just people having a bad time. And I just I'm not normally into that. I was like, do I really want to watch people make stupid decisions and just have a rough life? Because that poor guy and his group of friends, oh my gosh. It's just like, hey, it's like if life was just like a bouncer, just came and punched them all in the face and then kicked them in the nuts and walked away. It's like that's just the way that movie is.
Well, they're having a bad time because they're being stalked by a forest god.
I'm not gonna lie, like
Well, he's also going through some profound grief
yes,
and survivor guilt.
all of them were, and he was all of them were, and blaming each other, and it was just like a like an emotional wreck that everyone was in, trying to honor their friend that just died, brutally too. Like, guy chops him up
Yeah.
with a machete at a convenience store. Like, holy cow! Granted, it was only 2 hits, but like that's still rough. And then they were blaming
That
him
was-
for not trying to stand up to the dudes. Like,
That was the scariest scene in the whole movie. Was
yeah,
the convenience store scene.
yeah. I like now I do like the creature. I would have to do some research if they actually based it on something, because they called it a Jotun, which is one of the giants.
It's supposed to be, from what I remember with the movie facts, it's supposed to be a offspring of the Norse god Loki. So
I get
do with that what you will.
I get that Norse stuff is really weird, but like I can't help but think of the Avengers Loki being like, this is my son. Ew. Like, no wonder it's so
Well, yeah,
evil.
that's why. Yeah, that's why it's all pissed off and has a death cult
Oh boy, but it's creepy.
full of citizens in the attic that are seemingly thousands of years old but are still alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that like it. The end. Like I'm gonna spoil this for people who haven't seen this movie. The end where he's just screaming at it when it won't leave the forest, He's just like screaming in rage at it. And I'm just like, dude, you're never gonna recover from this. Like,
Well, no, I'd say he's better off because he overcame that grief and that that sense of self blame. Because like
okay,
he's finally like come. Granted, it's in a very messed up way, but he's finally like found the courage to act instead of just
sure,
sitting there.
sure.
And granted, it was to save a really shitty friend who is blaming him for his friend's death when there's arguably nothing he could have done.
Now,
I mean, I'm sorry if you're a combat expert, but I'm gonna wager a bet that 9 times out of 10, Machete is gonna win against any amount of liquor bottle that you could have possibly picked up and fought back with.
That and the people that were robbing the convenience store were high on drugs. So even
Right.
if he would have assaulted them, would they have reacted in the same way that a person would have?
right.
Right, because
About the
that,
only strategy I could think of is you just started chucking them all the time at them, and
That is, yeah, that would have been
Which-
the most effective.
yeah,
which they're not a video game character either. They don't have unlimited stamina. And
no,
I don't know
no,
about you, but liquor bottles could be pretty heavy.
I don't know. I've never
And you
held
gotta
one
get
in my entire life, so I have no idea.
Well, you've got to think along the lines of like a gallon of milk or like a quart of milk or like a half gallon of milk. Like
No, I
you
understand.
can't just
I-
infinitely throw those and like
I'm not.
depending on the shape it's going to be really awkward to throw too.
I'm not going to
Yeah,
blame
I'd
the
probably
guy
throw
for
it,
not.
like 5 feet in front of me.
Right, I'm not going to blame the guy for not tomahawking 7 bottles of liquor at people, but what?
Yeah.
But my concern is just like, okay, so he went through all of that because one of his friends died that he was a situation he was involved in. Now all of them are dead, and and he witnessed this horrifying monster that actually exists. What is his life like now? Like he walks off like, yay, he survived and everything's good now. But I'm like, not everything's good. That guy's messed up. That guy like mentally done. He's lost every single one of his friends, and he had to fight this weird Jotun monster that he had no idea what it was. And
Well, he's probably just going to have to become a nomad because I mean, there's probably going to be an inquiry as to like, oh hey, where did your 3 fucking friends go, buddy?
so the last time you were in a liquor store with your friend, you lost him. Not very suspicious. You take 3 of your other friends into the woods, they're all dead. That's suspicious. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, oh my god. And you can't, like, obviously you can't tell the truth. No one's gonna believe you. No, like, no, you go find the murder death monster. I'll wait.
Yeah. I'll wait here at the edge of the forest where it's safe. You can go in. But I mean, it's sort of similar to like the Blair Witch Project in that it's like a supernatural creature that holds domain over this whole territory.
Sure.
So, I mean, they're kind of screwed from the beginning. I mean, they found that shack with the altar in it, and then one of them instantly is like being influenced by it and is like found the next morning or that night praying naked in front of it. Like, that should have been their first sign that we need to get out of here.
I think
should-
But they try though, don't they? It's intentionally disorienting them.
Mhm.
Well, that could happen in a forest very easily because, like, if you don't navigate yourself in a sensible way, like, go in a straight line, follow this tree to this tree to this tree to this tree in, like, a straight line, you can very easily get turned around and think that you're, going in a straight line when you're actually going in, like, loops and circles in all sorts of different ways.
That's true. I mean,
But to be fair, it looked like they were going in a straight line, like they had planned to. It's just they didn't know that a Jotun monster was lurking in the woods. Oh well, it happens apparently.
no, it doesn't. Those aren't real. But Yeah, it was interesting, I will say. So I had to pull it up. I was going to watch the next one on my list, but I instead watched the Cuphead cartoon, which is hilarious. Um, I actually have them saved somewhere. Yeah, so Underwater, I think, is my next one,
It's a good one.
and that's HBO. I might even do that tonight if I don't know. I've been going to bed earlier than I normally do, so we'll see. So yeah, I watched it. Do uh, do you have another game news story, Ace?
I mean, like we were talking about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
there's the lawsuit against the video game grading service WADA,
Yeah, that's my
which
other
is
one too. That's insane.
alleging manipulation of retro game prices, which I've been on and on about recently with the announcement of the 3DS and Wii U game stores closing down.
Right, but a lot of these sales that they're talking about are specifically like with NES and or N64. We're talking like super older games,
Oh, I know,
but it
I know,
is
but
not it
it's
is
gonna
not
start
different. Yeah,
branching out
yeah, no, it will.
because
I actually had an interesting discussion with uh one of my friends at the game store, Nathaniel. He's like the one employee that isn't an owner there. Um, he was talking about someone wanted to invest in GTA 5, like just start buying copies, the PS5 version, because it's going to be a limited run. And I'm like, no, no. Like he was agreeing with me, basically saying that that's an insane idea, because if you're investing in a copy of a game or like something like that, you're expecting that the price of the individual game is going to go up for
mm,
resale. And no, GTA 5 being the most sold game of all time right now, releasing on a modern console is not going to be super like no matter how limited the run, it's not going to be worth a lot to begin with. And
yeah, I mean, you'd also have to go to like every single retailer that sells it and buy all those copies
yeah, and like when you're
to
talking
like
limited
corner the
run,
market.
yeah, we're not talking like we're talking like every game store getting like 3 or 4 versus like the 20 they normally get. That's still a lot of copies for like every game store in the
Mhm.
United States and or every country that's also getting it. Right.
Plus, plus you have it for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 and PS4 and Xbox One. Like it's
Yeah.
already playable on those other systems. Like, are
Wait,
you
wait.
gonna buy it for those for their scarcity of
But
those?
then, yeah, I feel like those would be the better value copies because those were the ones before
Probably.
digital really took over. Like I can't
Wait,
tell you
Yeah,
wait.
the last time I bought a physical Xbox game.
I primarily buy physical games still,
I
personally,
do
but
not.
yeah. Personally, I do because I can get them cheaper physically, but
Actually, I can tell you the last time I bought a physical game. It was when I got my Xbox One and I got Dead Rising 3 or 4, whichever one
hmm
came out at launch, and realized that it doesn't matter that you have the physical game. You have to download it anyway on your console, and it's going to take up a bunch of
yeah.
space on your console anyway. So
yep,
why buy it?
they do. I literally, it's
It's
because it's cheaper and I like having the boxes. That's it. That's it for me.
Yeah. The only thing I wish, like I think I mentioned it a couple of months back, is I wish like when you pre-order the game from like a GameStop or a Best Buy or even like a little mom and pop thing, they would like auto generate a code for you, like a pre-order code, and it would
They
auto
used to.
download the start of the game, or
Oh,
not like
sure.
the start of the game, just like all the core data, so that essentially the disc acts as like a switch to make the game work.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a
But
verification. It's just a because that's what PC games have been for a long time. PC games have always installed everything on your computer and then the disc is just a check to see if you own it or not. That's literally, I mean, like, that's how PC games
Right.
worked in the 90s. Like, but, you know, I'm getting more digital with the times as they go. I own a lot more digital games than I used to. But if possible, I get them physical. And also, now with, you know, both the girls having dockable switches that can, and her Cece's old Switch didn't like cartridges for some reason, so now I can get a copy of a game, but we can all share it and not, you know, have to all download it. So what's up, Ace?
Just community memes. Just thinking back to oh, what's his face on Twitter? Hold on.
Okay.
Wolfie Biotic on Twitter
Mm-hmm.
with the community joke of diggable Switch because of a typo they made a long time ago.
Oh
You
no,
remember?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I said dockable. Okay.
No, you did. It's
Yeah.
just that
Okay.
that never escapes my brain because of
that.
it comes around every couple of months too, and I like to engage in the spamming of it.
Gotcha. So yeah, because of the unique situation of having three systems, I can, like, Cece was like, I really want to play Mario Odyssey. I was like, I already have it. Here's the cartridge. Play it. Like, I didn't have to go buy it. She didn't have to worry about getting it. Now, the thing I don't like is that she still wanted Minecraft mod that she found, but my crazy brother gave them $100 yesterday from his tax return each. He's like, "Hey, I want to spoil your kids." I'm like, "Okay." They each have $100, and I'm like, "All right, I guess I'm taking them shopping." So one of them, one of the things they both got was the $50 eShop card, so they could get more Minecraft mods. I told them, I was like, look, there's a hard limit. You're only putting $20 of this on Minecraft mods. That's it. Buy games or something with the other 30. I don't want a sunk cost of if we accidentally delete your save again. Like,
Right.
so yeah,
Avoid tragedy if we can.
So to go back to the used game lawsuit, to listeners, if you're not aware, it seems like there's this sort of like almost racketeering level scam of grading older video games, and there are lawsuits coming in because of it, because it's only like three organizations that are really doing this, and it's kind of coming to a light that that's been kind of shady. They mentioned in the article I was reading about it, like, they'll take months to grade a product. Like, one individual didn't get his game back for 18 weeks after sending it to
18 months.
or
It was
yeah,
18
18 months.
months.
Sorry, 18 months. Yeah, 18 weeks is terrible. 18 months is worse. Yeah.
They said the average estimated wait time right now is 150 days to get your game back.
Yeah, it's insane.
What, do they take it apart and take out the software and replace it with fake software?
That's kind of what I was wondering, is like what stops them from doing that, because they send it back, I think, like sealed and graded, right?
Yeah, it's in a special case. They actually do this a lot
So
for
what
trading
stops
cards.
them from removing it?
Right. And it makes sense for trading cards because you need to find the value of how much it's been played and scuffed and torn and whatnot. If you're going to sell it, which, I mean, collectors, I guess it's okay, but like they're grading the box. They're grading the cardboard around this game. If it's still sealed and all that kind of stuff. Now old games have been expensive for a long time, but like, and they in the article talked about the fact that, like, the sales spiked at like it was going for millions of dollars when just months ago they were going for $200,000 too. So there was a lot of manipulation in the market happening by these people too. Um,
So they part of this racketeering thing comes from when you get your game graded by them, you are agreeing to give them 2% of your sales commission. And then some of the original big sales were purchased by people who are owners of the company. So they're like essentially confirming this inflated cost and then recouping some of the money through the sales commission.
yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, it says that the price of in this PC Gamer article, it says the price of collectible games has exploded in recent years, and this lawsuit alleges that wasn't an organic development. And I
Mm-mm.
mean, just in the brief experience that I had, I would say that is accurate when you frame it with games like Devil's Third, because that exploded from like being $100 to $200 a copy on like eBay to now like 600 to 800 to 2,000 in some cases, with what some people are asking. And there's even one that's listed, like graded on there, that's listed too. And I'm like, it's a disc.
Yeah. See,
Why does a disc need to cost $1,000?
there's the problem. There's the collector versus the player, and they are at odds on the price because the player, I just want to play the game. I was able to get this years ago for $60, right? I just want to play the game, and the idea of the player is the price is going to go down as time goes, but the
Mm-hmm.
idea of the collector is it goes up because it's rare and no one has it and that kind of stuff. Like this is why, as much as I love EVO, as much as I love it, I do not use the physical copy to play it because it would be way too expensive to get another copy. The copy that I
Mm-hmm.
did play back in the day is my brother's and is with him, but I don't want to dig it out and dig out my Super Nintendo every time I want to go play this game because it's not on any virtual console. It's not available on anything. The only thing that I've ever been able to find for it is a ROM hack. Like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's not available, it's under a company that has no interest in doing anything with it. So
Yeah. So like things like these grading scales and uh just like these game manufacturing companies that and their digital distribution and their physical distribution are why like I've more so turned my opinion around on like ROMs and emulation and stuff like that, because like if there's still a demand for, these games, it should be accessible to the consumer.
right, and there's also something to be said about preserving history of games too. And if we go even further
Hmm.
back, like Atari and that kind of stuff, like those aren't going to work. Like those games sometimes
Yeah.
the lifespan of a physical item like that isn't going to work. So, I'm surprised that some of my Super Nintendo games still worked the last time I tried in 2018. Like,
Yeah.
like it's not. It's a weird gray area because we do want to preserve, the history of the games we love, and or just the history of games in general. Sometimes, like my dad recently purchased I was talking about the Atari games. There's a guy that we deal with for our business in Ironton, which is about 2 hours away. But he has like a sort of like a ROM emulation thing. It has like Atari games and stuff on it, but it's got like Amiga games, Atari games, Commodore, like all sorts of like old systems that I would never know what those games were. This was before my time of playing and outside of my wheelhouse too, because I never had those systems. Um, but as well as some N64 ROMs on there and that kind of stuff where, you know, It's just there, and a lot of it, the Atari stuff, is for preservation, right? It's just they're just not available.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like emulators are kind of the same at this point as where there's just reprints of famous artwork.
Right.
It's accessible to everybody. Just because there's only one of the original shouldn't mean that other people can't have Starry Nights hanging on their wall.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, reproductions or the such. Yeah. Yeah, and and you're right. The this kind of problem where the physical games, which they want to tell us is supposed to be the right way to consume the product, isn't viable financially for, I would probably say, 90% of people into games. Like,
Hmm.
that's not viable for me. If I want, could you imagine if I wanted to play Mario 64 and I like Mario 64 was like $2,000 for me to just play, because that's what they were talking about was selling well, was to, these graded Mario 64s. Now
Hmm.
granted, I did buy into the limited run of the Mario All Star 3D All Star thing. Do you remember that they had the Mario Sunshine, Mario 64, and Mario um,
Hmm.
Galaxy One on the same Switch cartridge? It was a limited run, but
Hmm.
I bought that digitally. I didn't buy that physical.
Yeah, which I mean, it's great that they did that, but like they need to do it more often and with
And not make it a limited
more
run,
titles.
because
Yeah.
that was insane. It's like, oh yeah, it's only available digitally for the same amount of time too. Once it's done, it's done. Like, if you have it, you can re-download it, but you can't buy it anymore. Like, Sasha can't get that. It's out of the time frame. She didn't even have a Switch at the time. Like,
Hmm.
unless you find a used copy, which, to be fair, aren't really that expensive. They're like going for about half the price right now. Like, at the at the game store I go to, like, I actually saw it there. I was like, oh, here's like 3 copies of it for like half the price of what I paid. Okay,
Scoop,
I didn't get those.
scoop, horde.
No, I don't. The only games I hoard are Monster Hunter games, and I've even slowed down on that because I right now Monster Hunter World is $10 for a physical disc, and I'd be like, I'd totally grab
Hmm.
4 copies of that. And I was looking at it, I was like, there's no reason to. There's absolutely no reason
Hmm.
to. So I just didn't. And but if there was a PSP Freedom Unite, I would snatch that up in a second, because
You should come up to my neck of the woods and come to the local game store that I go to. They seem to always have a copy because I think they've had a
the
out of the
only
box copy for a couple weeks in a row now.
the only reason
Actually, a
why
couple
local
months.
game stores don't have copies because I bought them all.
Nah, you're just not trying hard enough.
There was one I didn't buy in Waverly. I don't know if that store's still open. So, do we have any other news?
I do, yes. Quick news:
Mm-hmm.
Starfield got delayed.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
Bethesda,
yeah.
maybe a good thing that they delayed it.
I mean, it was really far out, anyways. But they did say, because that being delayed inherently makes Elder Scrolls 6 delayed too. Because didn't they say they were going to get that done then Elder Scrolls? So
Yes, yes.
that's what I care
Um,
about, is Elder Scrolls getting delayed. But Starfield too. It's a
yep.
deal.
Breath of the Wild 2 also got delayed.
Yep, it did.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, that's another one of those things where Nintendo bit off something they couldn't chew yet, and not that they can't do it. I have every confidence in them making a great game, because Breath of the Wild 1 was so good, but Breath of the Wild 1 got delayed 4 or 5 times. What was it? Like, a lot. It was a lot that it got delayed.
It'll come out when it'll come out, and it'll be fine.
It was supposed to be a Wii U game, and then like it didn't.
Hey, as long as I can still use the magnesis and put one minecart on top of a minecart and create a flying machine, we're good.
Maybe we'll see. And Metroid Prime 4 has been
Dead
MIA
Space.
for a couple years now too.
Dead Space got a end of January 2023 launch window.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right.
So
I'm not sure
We'll
if I'll
see.
pick it up because I didn't finish it the first time, and I don't expect I'll finish it this time.
well, it seems like they're going for more immersion based on the dev showcase. So it
Oh yeah,
looks like it's going to be
scare me
a
harder.
lot more, yeah, a lot more visually and audibly terrifying.
Look, I have a threshold that I don't like to. That game was teetering on the threshold when I was playing it. Make it worse? I don't know. I get it. You love the game. My friend Brian does too. He's into horror stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, that's just not me. I like the part of the game where you're over the fear and you're just destroying all the crazy things. Um,
You mean when your character is fully leveled up and you have all your perks and weapons and
pretty much. I mean,
yeah.
that's pretty much
I mean,
Doom. Like that's the concept of
just
Doom. You're in a horror game,
just
except
level
they're
up,
afraid of you.
just level up the plasma cutter to its peak, and you're good. That's all you need.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I have heard that the other weapons are pretty much rendered inert.
No, like the other weapons are good too, but like the plasma cutter is like
Just better.
probably just the easiest and most efficient, I would say.
Right, because all you need to do is cut off limbs.
Mm-hmm. Because like there's the Ripper, which is like the I don't know, localized gravity or magnetized control saw
Mm-hmm.
that you can use to cut people apart. There's like the line gun, which is like a beam, or you can use its alternate, which shoots out like a orb that counts down and explodes. But like you have to time that carefully. There's the javelin gun,
Hmm. Speaking about javelins,
force gun.
when I was playing New Vegas, I actually started with 10 javelins. They're my favorite weapon in Fallout, hands down.
Interesting.
They're so fun. You don't. I'm very sad that you don't see them sticking out of someone when you throw them into someone, but it's like any part that hits immediately crippled. Anything
You
that it
do
touches.
you do find them on their corpse though.
Yeah, I mean, I recovered a few, but
Yeah.
when I missed, they were just gone, and I was like, oh.
Hey, at least it's not. At least it's not like the arrows from the crossbow in Walking Dead Survival Instinct.
Wouldn't know. They just disappear.
I've told you about that before, right? How bad that is.
Mm-mm.
Like,
Not that I remember. At least. You might have, but I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was the Rad Brad's playthrough that I was watching through on it, where he literally gets like cornered by a horde and is in like the bed of a pickup truck, and he's just like shooting them. Grab arrow, shoot, grab arrow, shoot, grab arrow, shoot, grab arrow.
Hmm.
Like
You did tell us
Like-
about that.
just
It was a
complete
while ago.
asinine.
But yeah.
Just complete asinine gameplay where it's like just completely breaks the immersion because like theoretically the bolt is only going to last a couple of times going through skull. Like,
True. It's true.
and more than one of the walkers are probably going to, oh, I don't know, fall backwards out of reach. So like, he's just gotta be like right up on him and just
He's gonna Legolas
like right at them.
stab 3 of them in one arrow. Like that's so ridiculous. I love that movie. But Lord of the Rings, have you like that one time where he takes out the arrow and just like stabs 3 of the orcs and pulls it out and then shoots another orc, and I'm like, that one arrow killed 4 orcs. That's not possible. Like they get so much worse on the Hobbit though. Like the Hobbit, like the stuff just goes bonkers what Legolas does. It's just like, gosh, cool it, Legolas. Why did you get better in the past?
Because he aged.
You didn't, because he's younger. The Hobbit's a prequel.
You said, why did you get better in the past?
Yeah.
Because he
Same.
aged to what would be the present movies with Lord of the Rings. He got older and therefore less skillful.
He's an elf. That doesn't happen.
You know what? All realism and sanity was out the window when he went on top of those giant elephants and then rode the freaking trunk down all the way to the bottom, like Fred Flintstone. So, your argument's invalid.
Still only counts as one. Oh boy, I love the Lord of the Rings movies. I can't lie. I watched the extended edition. I was like, what have I been doing with my life that I haven't been watching the extended editions? Because they had so many things. Like I didn't like they never addressed in the movie the fact that Aragorn's 80 years old until the extended edition. Then they're like, yeah, I'm 80 years old. He's like, and something about the fact that like the king's bloodline just lives longer. It's just like, oh yeah, I remember that in the book. That was weird. They didn't talk about that in the movies.
Honey, you're messing with the mic.
Cat attack. My dog's in here somewhere. She's right behind me.
I'll just raise it up. Have it be covering some of my face. There we go.
That's another thing is my dog can have a yard with a fence that doesn't run into the road. Like, I'm really hoping for this house. Not like,
well, we do wish you luck.
Yes.
Hopefully they won't
it's not dire,
say, hey, no, that time where it wasn't you has fucked over you.
Forever and ever and ever.
Are you sure that you are you and you are who you say that you are now with you here?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I learned because I tried to go get a credit card through that same bank of what happened, those years ago when I figured it out. But they were nice about it. They were like, oh, well, here's some information to take care of this. And that's how I tried, at least. I don't know if it went through because I haven't looked at it, tried to do anything like on that scale since. So,
are you A, Chamuel, B, Chamwise, C, Cham Cham? Just quiz you on who you are.
Actually, they had the false addresses on there when I tried to get my license renewed 2 years ago. That was a weird thing too. It's like, yeah, you'd want to take care of that, and I was like, so I can't get my license renewed, and they're like, go take care of that. So like I called into some places like, no, you can still get your license renewed. I'm like, yeah, that's all I want. I don't that's all I want. I don't want to have to deal with the fact that I never lived at this address that you're saying I did. Just give me a license. That's a lesson for everyone. Kids, don't get your identity stolen. Like it's not really under your control, so whatever. Tried. That was honestly all the news I had was the two Capcom things and then the game grading thing. Because like game grading thing is something that comes up a lot, being good friends with someone who's in the used game industry, that does come up.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Well, I've got a little bit more.
okay.
I have. So Peacock is going to be streaming a Twisted Metal TV show.
Oh yeah,
which
you mentioned that earlier. Yeah.
I think sounds really awesome. So far, it's going to be a 30-minute comedy,
Okay.
and they have cast Anthony Mackie, who's Falcon, like Falcon Winter Soldier,
Mm.
and Stephanie Beatriz,
I don't
like
recognize that one.
Mirabelle from Encanto, and
Oh.
Mhm.
Detective Diaz in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay.
Yeah, she was also in the Heights.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some things about it. Both of these people are not cast as anyone from the video games. They're original characters. There's someone named John Doe who Anthony Mackie's going to play, and he's the main character. And his job is to deliver a package across the post-apocalyptic wasteland. So basically Fallout New Vegas, but
Mhm.
Twisted Metal. And then Stephanie Beatriz plays a character named Quiet, who is a car thief, and I'm guessing that her and Anthony Mackie cross paths in a nice little meet cute situation. They partner up, and Sweet Tooth is confirmed as a villain, in which I think is exciting.
That makes
Cobra Kai
sense.
writer is involved with this show.
That's cool. Cobra Kai is a good show.
I thought you might like that.
Yeah.
That bit of information. So I'm pretty excited. I think I might actually I will probably renew my Peacock subscription for that.
Okay. I don't have it. I don't have Peacock, but that sounds fun. Isn't that the one that like Picard's on?
No, that's on
Paramount, I think.
Paramount.
yeah, whatever CBS is on.
I can't keep track of all these. So which one's Halo on?
Paramount?
Paramount as
Paramount.
well. Okay. Okay. Yeah, of course we also mentioned the bit of people freaking out about Halo. Like, okay, sure.
As I mentioned before, there's a interesting documentary you guys should watch on Peacock called "In the Dark of the Valley" or something like that.
Mhm.
In the Shadow of the Valley, about the
The radiation.
Santa Susana test lab.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that there was the Netflix one you recommended too the other day.
Yeah, the 3 Mile Island.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I entirely skipped past it with no intention of watching it. I was like,
There it is.
I could watch something about people dying for radiation, or I can watch Cuphead. I think I'm gonna watch Cuphead. By the way, I do recommend Cuphead because it's funny. It's Y7, so it's kid friendly. I will say that
Mhm.
depends on your religious views because the devil is a main character and is the devil and does try to do devil things, like steal people's souls, which my girls did not appreciate that part, but they still like the show. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, my kid's favorite princess, I think, is Princess Bean in Disenchantment. So I think Cuphead's probably tame.
Yeah, Cuphead's pretty tame. Yeah, I still got to watch the last season of Disenchantment too because it's 4 seasons now.
Mhm.
And I've only seen the first 3. I think I may not have only seen 2.
I've been watching through King of the Hill lately,
Yeah,
and my fiance is like, "Why the hell are you doing that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just felt like it."
well,
Don't get mad at me.
Pan was telling me to watch it for years, but it's never been on anything I can watch. So
Mm-hmm.
I will when I can because it sounds like my
It's on
kind.
Hulu.
Yeah,
I
my
don't-
husband's been watching it too.
I don't watch Hulu. I don't want to download another app. I know it's free, but
Get Hulu, and you can watch King of the Hill, and then you can also watch Letterkenny.
Let's see.
Letterkenny is great. Great
I
show. It's
love
about Canadian
Letterkenny.
Hicks.
It's about what?
Canadian Hicks
Oh, okay.
in a small town.
You definitely need to put the subtitles on.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean subtitles are on in general for my stuff because of my hearing problem, and not because I can't hear them most of the time because I turn it up pretty loud, but also I just like sometimes I just mishear things and I'm like, okay, that's what they're saying, so it's a reference already.
I can hear what
Mm.
they're saying on Letterkenny, but I'm just like, what? What did you just say?
It's like the
It's one of those comedy shows where like they make a joke and usually just like roll straight into the next one too.
yeah, just fast paced enough that you just helps keep up. Kind of reminds me of
Mm.
the assistant coach in Waterboy. He's like, "Where would you
Oh,
right
yeah.
over there?" You're like, "What?" But like, if you actually
Yeah,
like
I mean,
sit there and like put brain power to it, he's actually saying things. You're just like, "Holy cow, he is really butchering this."
Yeah, I mean they also have an auctioneer character that just the entire show just speaks like he's auctioning off stuff.
Oh well, yeah,
And
that'll
his name is
like the
his name is Dickens, but everyone
Dickskin.
calls him Dickskin.
oh okay, sure. I watched a movie. It's just I've only ever seen one Super Bowl in my life, and it's because I had a neighbor who I was good friends with at the time when I lived in the apartments. He was like, "Chim, you got to come watch a Super Bowl with me." I was like, "I don't follow hand egg. This isn't a thing for me." and and he's like, "I don't know, just watch." Like my favorite team's playing, so it was like the Saints,
I don't I don't follow hand egg concussion ball.
right?
Oh my god.
So like he was like, no, you got to watch it. So I watched my only ever Super Bowl with my friend because he was like a big Saints fan or something, and they won. And it was like a really exciting game because I understand the rules of the game. I grew up in rural Ohio. That's what Friday nights. That's where everyone was. I was in marching band.
Mm-hmm.
It was required to be in the marching band and band. So I had to sit there and learn football, or I don't know, stare at the bleachers. Like, like so.
Always a
I
fun time.
yeah, I understand the game. So watched it with him, and I'm watching this new movie. It's got not new, I don't know. It's on Netflix. It's got Kevin James, and he's like, apparently it's a true story of like after they won that Super Bowl, the one they ever won, they got in trouble for like head coach got in trouble for like paying his players to purposely injure other players as like a hitman kind of thing. So like, um, so it's like a weird like sports story thing like movie about
Mhm.
him reconnecting with his family because he gets kicked out of the NFL coaching for a year and coaches his
Mhm.
son's like little PV team middle school team, and I don't know, it was a good movie. I watched that too.
Yeah, yeah. Sports scandals are always so weird. Like, because there's that one that you mentioned, but there was also like the whole scandal years ago in the NBA with like refs taking bribes to like rig games and shit like that. It's like, why? Why you need to do this?
Money.
Just let the people play the sports.
Yeah, I'm almost concerned. Like I'm not a big fan of a lot of different like real sports, but like when I started talking about like it's a big controversy to talk about concussions in the NFL, it's like really you really think that concussions are not
Oh,
going to
dude,
have long-term effects? Like holy cow.
dude, it's even worse in the WWE.
Yeah,
Like
I've
some of the
heard.
treatments of the wrestlers in there is just horrible.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, both the both the NFL and the WWE really need to fix their shit. I would say.
Yeah. I feel like I don't have much as a say other side than being a human being and wanting other human beings to have a good life. But because I don't follow the sports, but you know,
Hmm.
it still seems pretty bad on the outside. Like, Pretty
Well, because
rough.
that's there. Netflix has a documentary on Aaron Hernandez,
Mm.
who killed a guy and then killed himself in prison. But they went and posthumously examined his brain, and he showed like signs of severe concussions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say there really needs to be like a whole entire like league change, and they need to fix their issues and take better care of their players and not
There's
just
also a
expect only
cultural
performance.
shift with the age in which kids actually start contact football. Like
Hmm.
kids are like 8 years old and playing tackle football.
Oh yeah, it was a big thing.
So by the time they go to college or they're Aaron Hernandez's age, they already have the brain of a 40 or 50-year-old person.
Hmm.
It's really, really bad.
Yeah.
Holy cow. That's dark. Sorry I went there.
Yeah. So EA lost the FIFA license. Did you hear that, Ace?
I did not. That's funny.
I knew it would put a smile on your face. I thought I'd share that with you.
I would hope for just completely Star Wars, but like,
No, we're not there yet. But so the next EA soccer game is going to be called EA Sports FC. FIFA wants to allow third-party publishers to use their license.
That's fair. That's
good.
fair. I mean, EA's been doing it exclusively for how many official sports leagues? For how long? Like NHL,
Well, 'cause there's,
NFL, NBA,
There's also PES soccer, which I've heard is very good
Pro Evolution, yeah.
comparatively. Yeah, I just think there needs to be more competition in the marketplace in terms of sports games, and there needs to be like evolutions in the games, not
You mean
just the
like
same stuff, and not just
Pro
their
Evolution?
stupid ass. Sure. And not just their stupid trading card system that's just virtual gambling
So
that EA has been peddling for years.
So what other games are like what other games are actually doing sports, right? Like so we know about Pro Evolution, right? There's the NBA Street stuff that's sort of like cartoony versions of NBA, but that's still NBA licensed. Like
Mhm.
I know of exactly one soccer game that isn't Pro Evolution or whatever what I just said. And FIFA, and that's Captain Tsubasa, which is based off of an anime soccer game. Like that's it. That's all I know for soccer. Like
Otherwise,
we're getting
otherwise, I
Mario
was
Strikers. Mario Strikers is
otherwise
coming
I was
out.
going to say technically Rocket League.
It's
Yeah.
true, Rocket League. But I mean,
And,
being the most popular sport in the world, we get like we're talking like 4 series of it. Like I feel like
Mhm.
there would be more.
There's
Yeah,
the Olympic
which-
Games. They have those video games come out every time the Olympics are.
Mm-hmm.
Those are actually really funny to play poorly intentionally.
Yeah, there was a Super Nintendo one. It was like you had a frog that played in different Olympic games that I played a long time ago. Like I liked those. I think they were just I think they was our official too, like official licensed Olympic stuff.
Mhm.
I don't remember the name of it at all, but they're like it's weird because like sports games have always as gamers we make fun of the sports games because they're so the same and about sports. Like sports ball is like the thing that people moniker regular sports to. Not like I have a thing against sports. I mean, I ran in track, and then I liked soccer quite a bit. I wasn't able to play it because my school was too small to have a team, but I would have played. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird that they were so popular for so long, and now they're just sort of relegated to these like side games to a lot of people's mentality on EA, even though they sell tons. They have to, else EA wouldn't be doing them.
Mhm.
Wouldn't be a pillar of their company.
Yeah, I just think we need to get back to just having games be games instead of having all these different microtransactions that
Mm-hmm.
infest them and take over.
Yeah, true. I agree.
But since they create such giant ass profit margins, I don't think we're going to see that happen anytime soon.
Nope. Not really. Nope. I mean, there's certain ways it came into a backlash, like loot boxes and stuff being labeled as gambling, and some people were like, "Oh, that's
Mhm.
whoa, okay, we're not gonna mess with those." Like, and then Blizzard went full hog on them instead. Like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, Blizzard. Poor Overwatch there, man. I tell you what, as fun as Overwatch was, that game got such a raw deal at times. Like,
How so?
just like it got hit with so many controversies. Now, granted, it's not like it wasn't warranted, but it was like, hey, the cool thing to make money is loot boxes, right? And then Star Wars Battlefront happened, and they're like, oh, okay, well, we still have those, so we're gonna do a professional league. Isn't that cool, right? Oh, esports is really taking a hit right now. Oh no, like, like that poor game.
Yeah. Oh well, it happens.
I really liked it
Maybe
too.
they've since learned.
Like I had a
We'll see.
dedicated play group. I've talked about it a couple times. You know, we had a full team. We were doing ranked matches. Like we were,
Hmm.
I think gold level ranked season 2. Like it was fun. I I got to be Farah, which was awesome. I don't know. You guys don't know who that is. She's basically the only person that could fly. She had a jetpack, and she had this non damaging attack that pushed people, and I would just stand near ledges and push people off cliffs. Just boop, got a triple
Okay,
kill. Boop.
fair enough. And for a second, speaking about jetpacks,
Mm-hmm.
friggin' TT Games needs to fix the jetpacks in Lego Star Wars.
Uh-oh. I still haven't played it
Like
again. I have it, but I still haven't played it again.
like the traversal is like barely above walking speed. It only lasts like 1.1 seconds or something like that. It's pathetic
I
as
mean,
compared to like other Star Wars games where you can actually like traverse the environment and stuff like that.
sure.
And I get that for like maybe early games so that you're not just like unlocking every single thing possible.
Right.
But like at a certain point, it should be fun to use and not just like, well, why they even make it usable? If it's just for like 1.1 seconds, it's really just
Now, I do want to preface this. This is a joke for our good friend Mossy, who's the #1 Boba Fett fan. But I do see them sucking because Boba Fett uses them.
there's also a jet trooper in the game, and there's also
Mm.
Jango Fett.
Oh, don't even get started on Django. Django's even worse.
Eh.
He gets like half the screen time of even Boba Fett and just dies. He just dies.
It's the writing. It's not his fault.
I know. I know. And I know a lot of people are going to come at me because Boba Fett actually escaped the Sarlacc and yada yada and the Mandalorian. Yes, I've seen the Mandalorian. Actually, wasn't there was something I didn't watch.
Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett. Probably because it was Boba Fett. My most hated Star Wars character.
Nah, it's decent. Tamura did a really good job with the character, I would say, as opposed to
I-
what
I liked him in
hordes
the
of people
Mandalorian.
online say. Mm.
He seemed fine in the Mandalorian. I just didn't, you know. He's just not my
Well,
character.
you get his backstory and what he's been up to.
His backstory. Oh, okay. Since the original movies, right?
Yeah, you get to see him escape the pit and then learn how he comes to have Tusken garb and one of the what are they called? There's a specific name for like the sticks that they use, but I'm blanking on it right now.
Okay, I was gonna go with Bantha Riders. Are you talking about those? But Bantha sticks, maybe.
Are they bantha sticks? Is that what they're called?
I know that the shaggy animals
Yeah,
are banthas.
he does ride a bantha.
Mm-hmm.
Then towards the end, he rides something else that's a lot cooler.
It's Star Wars. It could be anything. It could be. It could be like a giant tentacled rolling thing.
He rides a fucking Rancor, dude.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay, I get that Rancor. All right. I wonder if those are native to Tatooine.
I mean, they're all over Star Wars. Like in, well, not that it's canon, but in Force Awakens, the planet Felucia is like
full of them,
almost rife with them, overrun with them.
Okay.
Because you fight one, you go through a different tunnel, and you fight two at the same time, and then there's like an Omega one that you fight.
Okay.
So.
I don't think you fight him. What was the game I played? I had the red-haired Jedi escapee.
Oh, Cal Kestis?
Yeah.
Jedi Fallen Order?
Fallen Order, yeah. I was like, I don't think you fought one in Fallen Order.
No. You fight those weird toad monsters.
Yeah. Those were mean. Those are very mean. So yeah. So is there any other news that we have, or are we all just spitballing at this point?
The only thing else I have, if you want to talk about it, is the Activision diversity space method.
Oh, yeah. We talked a little about this before the show.
I pulled up the article for that.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's a rough one.
Can I read the beginning of this Kotaku article?
Go ahead.
You sure can.
Today, Activision Blizzard fulfilled its daily oopsie quota by blogging about how the publisher's subsidiaries have been apparently using a special tool to help them develop more diverse characters. It apparently thinks it can accomplish this without, I don't know, actually talking to or hiring marginalized developers.
Right.
Why rely on pesky, fallible humans when we have powerful data to tell us we've reached enough diversity points to start a new video game culture war? Numbers do not lie. I mean, look at this. It's obvious, isn't it? The well-designed graph tells it all, clearly and calmly.
So the graph, it's a septagon. It has the following character traits: culture, ethnicity, age, ability, kind of referring to their level of disability, their body type, their gender identity, and their sexual orientation. And the closer that you are to the middle of the graph, the more heteronormative you are, and the further out to the border to each one of the individual points, the more diverse that you are. I would love to know what the sliding scale of ethnicity is. Just curious about that.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I
sour cream to black bean.
But
yeah,
it'd probably be named something stupid like that.
Wow. Yeah. So
I mean, that's Activision Blizzard we're talking about.
I know, but that
It
is
has to be stupid and
that is
inept.
so two-dimensional too. Like that is like even
That's the
if
point
that
of why I said it.
I know,
It's
but
like,
it's like it's so hilariously two-dimensional because it's like even if that was the scale, you would already miss the point. There, it's already broken. It's already done. Like,
well, like, what are you thinking? Creating essentially like a bot to do this for you? Why would you not hire the people or hire people from different like
Okay.
cultures and backgrounds
so
and do like actual surveying or actual like theoretical like learning about
getting an expert
cultural
and or
stories that have
someone
been
in
passed down.
the know of various cultures and such. Now, not that they have always done a great job, right? But something like Overwatch, which they were showing Overwatch characters in that graph, does do a lot of references from other cultures and that kind of stuff. However, traditionally, there has just been, what they are usually developing the games. We're talking about what would you say, heterosexual white males mostly that work and do this stuff. I mean, there are females in obviously in Blizzard, because a lot of what we've been talking about was females dealing with said issues, with all the other lawsuits, harassment, and other things in the workplace. But right, for a large part, there's been a very small window of ethnicity in the development team, but overall they have not usually. Let me rephrase this. They have referenced other cultures in their games multiple times, multiple ways, but it's always in a limited scope based on their experience. And I can get where we need to talk to other people to get a better understanding. I would say the most obvious choice of this, seeing that, and it was in the graph, was Overwatch, because you do have characters who are from real world places and real world cultures in a fantasy setting, but still, it does take place on Earth, just in the future, and it is referencing direct cultures and direct things. And yeah, I would hope they would reference people from those cultures they're trying to represent. But
But doesn't it just feel a little less authentic to find that a character that maybe you identify with was generated by the diversity space method and not a person who like genuinely put their heart and soul into developing that character?
Yeah. No, it does. It cheapens it. It cheapens it greatly because it's almost like what do they call that in hiring? Where you're trying to hit that diversity,
affirmative action.
It's like affirmative action in your video game roster. It's very weird. Yeah. It's very.
And this I would say would be an acceptable critique of this type of thing, as opposed to the idiot that I've talked about on here a few times, Quantum TV, because he literally critiqued Horizon Forbidden West for the amount of black people that are in the game when they just exist in the game alongside like white and Asian people and people of all different kinds of skins. But like the thing about Horizon Forbidden West is that there's no like culture informed by just like their skin. It's informed entirely by the region that they live in. Because all the culture from the previous like world in that universe is gone because of the actions of Ted Faro, because he wiped the Apollo database, which had all the previous knowledge from all of humanity, and he just wiped it. So they're all just tribally based, and they have their own separate belief systems.
Right.
And like that, I would say, is far more legitimate and real and grounded than what I would say Activision Blizzard / Overwatch is doing with their little metrics meter here.
Right.
Like-
Now, is this an example of how to use the chart, or did they actually do Overwatch with this chart?
I think they're saying that they actually created some of the newer characters. So I've never played Overwatch, so I don't know any of their names. But I guess that there's like the first black female character in Overwatch was using this diversity space method.
Gotcha. I have not played Overwatch since 2017. So, we're talking the year after it came out. So it's been a long time since I played. And I think I bounced after the first character that was added in. Like, I played with the base roster. And to be fair, I didn't feel... Now, granted, this is based on my limited knowledge of said cultures, right? I didn't feel that they were like stereotypical, just 100% stereotypes of the cultures they were representing. There were aspects of that, like, let's say, what is his name? There's I can't remember their names, but they're brothers. They're from they're Japanese, Kenji, and then I don't remember the other one. One was like an archer, like a samurai kind of archer guy. The other one was like a ninja sword guy. Hanzo. Yeah. I feel like those
back.
felt a little more genuine than what you would say your average game is, because there were things steeped in that culture there that, again, I am very limited knowledge of that. I'm not a good, I'm not good for that, but like, it seemed okay, but I don't know about the newer characters, and that could be the case with the newer characters. Like, I'm only familiar with the original roster. Yeah, I don't I don't know, but it didn't feel bad. But then again, I'm not from those cultures, right? Like, I don't think there's any Native American in there that I could feel good or bad about. And then again, it's never going to be, the close to the tribe that I'm in. So
I feel like the issue's not that they have the representation. The issue has more to do with the fact that, do they have the representation because the creators themselves find value in representation, or because it's a hot button issue and so we designed this tool to add diversification to our character roster that we don't actually care about? It's just to give some lip service to something that a subsection of our fan base cares about.
I'm sure it's a very complex answer. I'm sure that there are people there who designed the characters and or worked on their story that do care and did try to put in that work. But I'm sure there's also aspects of they were forced to do it because corporate said we need to hit this quota. Also, like, I'm sure that it's a mix of various things. I feel like on the, like, just remembering when I was in Overwatch and remembering the original leader, I don't remember his name. He has since left the company. He left, like, he announced Overwatch 2, and then a couple weeks later he kind of left. I don't remember his name, but he was very upfront with like developer talks and like that kind of stuff. The team seemed very genuine and very passionate about what they were working on, not just as a game, but also culture. Like, I think they were very outspoken and open about how many different cultures they were trying to incorporate. I don't know if that's still happening and or if it's the same people and they have the same dedication to that aspect. But again, they don't really, you just saying that doesn't mean it's true either. Like, I don't know how, if like they were just told by corporate to be like, hey, we're so pro this kind of stuff, and the developers were like, I don't care what they look like, I just want them to be able to do this ability in this way. And like, but then again, there's people who are more interested in the lore and story who are in the development team too, who are doing storyboards and stuff and the animations and like, I don't really, it's a long way to say I don't know, but I think it's the general thing is a mix. Like, I don't think it's hard, no one cares, here's the graph. I think that's a very heartless way to go about it.
I think it's very weird just to have a system in place to essentially create the skeleton of the character instead of just collaborating with people and deciding what kind of a character you want to make and then build it up from there. Because it sort of feels like they're just doing the thing of, all right, what quota are we going to hit this month? What quota are we going to hit this month? What are we going to hit for this launch package? What are we going to get for this launch package? Instead of like, hey, I really have this character that I want to bring to life in this game that I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels really hollow and meaningless.
Yeah, and again, my initial impression from the original game was that was not the case. Like that was my initial impression. I don't know, obviously. I could be wrong.
Mm.
And it could very well be a very different beast in the new stuff because I haven't followed the game in 5 years. So, but it sounded like if they're using this graph more along the lines of what you're saying, like that seems more
it just
like
feels sort of like just the gateway to the homogenization of video games to me.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what little I've read about it so far.
I kind of agree that like, okay, you're gonna have 10 characters on this roster, and we need to make sure that a certain percentage of them check off these specific measures.
Right.
Mhm.
And I will say conversely, I think another game series that has a lot of this where they pseudo base things in real world is Mortal Kombat. And I think Mortal Kombat, as much as it was created by a bunch of white dudes who wanted to see people punch the crap out of each other and love kung fu movies, like they do try to incorporate a lot of story, lore, and presentation from various cultures that those characters and are created characters. They're not generated. They're this is my idea. Like the idea of Scorpion has been in, Ed Boon's mind like forever.
Yeah.
Like I would say Mortal Kombat is violent and is gory and is, like debased as it is at times, does do some good respect to various cultures in a fantasy way, but like if you've heard them gush about Scorpion, who's like their token character, who's Japanese from 100% American developers, like, and they do try to respect that, especially if you've seen stuff like the move, the not the 90 whatever movies, but like the newer movies and stuff, and the miniseries they do, they very much pay very much respect to, that culture and that time period in which he's supposed to be from. Same with Sub-Zero. He's the same. He's just a different clan in the same time period.
He's an asshole.
Right. And then you have someone who's like no one likes, which is like the white guy cop Stryker, which like I mean, I liked him. He was fun. But like, you know what I mean? Like, but all of their characters have a story and have like a culture and have something behind them. Whereas like, they do that with Overwatch. They have these character details and stuff that they put out, but it does feel very manufactured if they're doing that. Cause that's rough. That feels very rough. Again, it's very, I talked a little bit about it before the show. For me, as a Native American, seeing very little representation, that when I do get representation, I'm like, whoa, we've gone above the bar. We're good here. Like how much respect are they doing to, like, it can get cliche. Like don't get me wrong. Like Nighthawk in Mortal Kombat can feel cliche as hell, being like a shaman who summons spirit wolves and has, green spirit tomahawks and stuff. But to be fair, I still think he's still a cool character. You know what I mean? Or conversely, in Killer Instinct, we have Thunder, who's kind of the same thing, except tomahawks and lightning storms. Like, he's a shaman kind of deal. Like, there's not really a lot of
also like
diversity in that space.
There's also like Connor in Assassin's Creed 3.
You're right. And Connor, I feel representation wise for me, like to what I've experienced as a Native American, is the closest I've seen. Because he is an Eastern tribe. That's the first time I've seen an Eastern tribe represented, honestly.
Hmm.
Because it's all, what people remember from Westerns, the Western tribes, with the big headdresses and stuff. And Connor being such a stoic and, I don't know, reserved character in comparison to so many of the other assassins in the series.
Hmm.
And then everyone hated him. And I was like, well, that makes me feel awesome. The one Assassin's Creed character I identified and liked. Thank you, everybody.
Hmm. No, I liked him enough.
Not saying you have
Hated
to.
his dad.
Oh,
Really wanted his dad dead really quickly.
He's the Templar? You're talking about the one who's the English
Yeah.
Templar? Yeah. And his grandfather was like the one in Black Flag or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. That's just bad. It's just bad that they're doing that, and it's bad that just talk to people. Just figure out what, and it feels better if you create a character with an idea in mind from the ground up. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. You guys play D&D, so it feels like, hey, I'm going to go grab this build online and shove a personality onto it versus, no, the personality builds the character. You know what I mean? Like, those feel more authentic and built up and real. Whereas, like,
Hmm.
insert personality B into character C, or you know what I mean? Like, it's just
Apply skin color A-2B.
right. Yeah, like very mechanical and very cold.
Correlated with cultural background 2-8 5C.
It feels very specific. Ace, are you working?
I'm just mimicking what they're essentially gonna lead to.
Right.
Is just like homogenized automated game making where it's all just formulated.
Yeah. As
Where
much
they're
as
like,
we hate on EA and stuff, like, EA doesn't do this stuff. Now, granted, they don't have games that really cross these boundaries, but, like, you don't hear about this coming from EA, right? Like,
well, that's because in sports games they don't have to like come up with the backgrounds for the players.
I mean, they did
the players
stuff like
just exist.
Dead Space, they had Spore, I guess. Like, again, they don't cross these boundaries, really, but...
Yeah, now that they've been on the downturn, they're finally seemingly very hesitantly, I will say, pulling their heads out of their asses and actually working on developing good games instead of just trying to fucking cash cow it with every launch.
True. I mean,
We'll see.
They screwed up Star Wars pretty rough.
Very, very hesitantly excited for Dead Space. Like, I've got one foot stepping in the door, but the rest of my body is like...
Yeah. Keeping an eye on you, EA.
You good?
Downloadable content for each weapon. There you go.
I would destroy my pre-order so quickly.
Oh boy. So, if you guys want to add,
interrupt a customer.
Interrupt the customer.
I would interrupt a transaction. I'm sorry to cut you off, ma'am. This is important. Bring up my number. I've got to correct this now.
Any other thoughts on the terrible, what was it, Septagon?
Yeah, I have no other thoughts on that.
Okay. All right.
Could you not?
I mean, yes, they could not. They should not.
Could you Could you not? Could you actually put in the effort of like hiring people from diverse backgrounds?
I don't think you have to go as far as hiring. I think consulting is fine. Because
Hiring and consulting, both I would say are important
sure,
because
no,
clearly, if this is what they have in place now, that means there is a lack of creativity and diverse thinking in the workplace.
yeah, right, but
So
also
that needs to be changed as well.
sure. I don't disagree. However, um, the developer space is not a great. It's not like everyone from every culture is working as developers too. Like I said with the Native American thing, like what were they supposed to do with this land is mine? Like, how many people are you going to get to actually work on a project like that is Native American? Like, not a lot. Um,
I mean,
can't say that for other cultures. Obviously,
depends on if they tried.
there's obviously if you're just say Japan. I mean, half of the freaking game industry is Japanese developers, so I I can't defend them on that one. But um, yeah, like yeah, sure, hiring, but also consulting, right? Like hiring is a bigger move.
I'd,
Like I
I'd
think
say it's not asking too much to have both.
no, I'm not saying it isn't, but I'm saying it is. It's not as easy, and they're not going to go the not easy path. You know what I mean?
But I feel like, especially when we're talking about a company like Activision Blizzard, they have so much money that they can create roles that are not just game developers. Like,
Oh no,
you
they
can
have roles
consultant
that aren't just that. They have roles that are
right. So why are they not filled with a diverse population of people? Like, I understand that we're not going to find, like this huge crop of people that are game developers that also identify with some of these other like
sure
diverse traits, but it doesn't mean that historians don't exist, that
no,
people
it's true.
sociologists don't exist, behaviorists don't exist. Like, there's so many other ways that they can get this information than just letting white guys use a graph.
No, yeah, no, I'm not defending their decision to use a graph at all, but um, I just you talk about hiring. I just don't. Hiring's a problem across the country right now. Like,
Well, as has seemed to be the trend of the problem lately, I would caution against that it's probably related due to the board and a certain
right.
president.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to work there now? Like, how many people left that loved working there, at least in some aspects, not obviously in all aspects because they left, but or at least they had the idea of working there, and that's not the case anymore there too. So, yeah, no, they should. If there's an opportunity to hire someone who is qualified and diverse, I think that should happen more often for sure. I don't, I don't know. I'm not a game developer, at least not yet. My dad keeps still trying to make me one, but he's like, what you should really do, Cham? You should really make a game for our company. And I'm like, pass. I think I'll learn CAD instead, which is literally something I said this week. Like, I would rather draw than.
Does he have an idea of what the game would be? Or is it just...
Well, we've had several ideas. He's had me pitch my ideas of stuff that I would do in games, and like the first game that I would technically love to quote unquote make is a spiritual successor to EVO that is a little bit more freeform. Probably doesn't have as crazy as story because I'm not that creative as far as story goes. I mean, seriously, when you like just a little snippet of the story from that game, you kill the Yetis because the Yetis are keeping other mammals from evolving because they don't like that other animals could be stronger than them. So they're stunting evolution. So you kill the Yetis and the ancestor your character doesn't kill the baby Yeti and it goes off screaming mommy and daddy in an NES game. So what it has of happening is it goes run, 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 run. Dialogue pops up, mommy, daddy, run, 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 mommy, daddy, run, 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 mommy, daddy, and then like you go into the next stage, and then these giant monkeys that are like Sasquatches hate you because you destroyed their family, and the ancestors of screaming mommy, daddy, they can haunt their dreams. Like I'm not that creative.
Oh boy.
It's a weird game. But yeah,
Interesting.
no, I agree. I think there definitely needs to be a change. Something's wrong there if you're using that graph for sure, or that chart or whatever you want to call it. The abomination that helps them insert personality into character. It's just rough. It's just not a way to do it. I don't really have much else for news stuff. That's the problem with me. I'm not super good on the news episodes. I feel like it's just I get busy and I don't pay attention to the news because I'm just playing games. Like the games I've been playing have all been old right now. I've not played anything new.
I mean, after Braun posted in the group chat, I'm tempted to do some more 3U tonight.
Yeah,
I've had GU in my Switch for the past week.
I booted up Final Fantasy 9 because it was on sale, and then because I never played it, but I really like the Black Mages in Final Fantasy series. You know, the ones with the really big hats, and they have like you can't see their faces, and they got yellow eyes. I always thought that was a cool aesthetic, and they have a character, the Vivi or something like that, that is like just one of those Black Mages from the Final Fantasy series. Actually, no, I've been playing Stranger of Paradise for Bickering Bucks, so that's a modern game, but also Final Fantasy. I'm playing 2 Final Fantasy games and Fallout, so I'm not really up on modern gaming news right now, except
Fair enough.
for Sunbreak. I mean, I did watch Sunbreak as it was ending, and then rewatch the whole video. There was a meeting. There was like a financial meeting, and I don't have anything to be with a financial meeting at work. So Dad and Chauncey were in there, with Chauncey being the financial guy. So I was sitting in the car waiting for them to be done with this meeting while I was watching the Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak event on my phone, which was fun per se. Not like I was skipping out on work. I just have nothing to add as far as the financials of the company go because I don't know them. So why would I talk about them?
Right.
I guess Dad was joking around to have me in there as an intimidation tactic. I don't know why. Because why would you want to intimidate your banker? I don't know. Just like 3 of us versus him or something like that. He was joking around about it. So yeah. Well, next week is our usual Monster Hunter week. Sasha will probably not be joining us unless we can indoctrinate her in a week. So
Probably not.
probably not.
If I just send you a copy of Rise.
Well, I probably still won't play it right away. I still haven't even beat Wonderlands. I should have more time for gaming, and starting in June though.
Mhm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
I'll send you a copy of Rise, and then a really stupid picture of me holding like a knife to a piece of paper with the word "your job" written on it, like I'm holding your job hostage. Play the game.
So I expect next week we'll probably go in more depth onto what the digital event was and some other stuff with Sunbreak coming out so soon. And we actually have another digital event coming before the release. They said sometime in June. So
Yeah, I'd expect probably like a week or 2 before.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to work with. There's only 30 days, so they've got essentially 3 weeks and 4 weeks to work with.
Oh yeah, I found out too because I stopped in at GameStop earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the release of my Fatalis figure has been moved to the 14th of next month.
Hmm.
So, got a little bit more time.
All right.
A little bit more time, and then Heckin' Chongus is going to be here.
I have some time. So the Starship Troopers game was delayed till June 6th. So I have time to finish Starship Troopers before we get Sunbreak. And also, our Bickering Bucks episode is going to be longer. We're actually, because Brian has to work a lot. So I'm going to be stretching out my playthrough of Stranger of Paradise until, because usually we'd record the end of this month, and we're talking the end of next month. Because, he's a big director and has 7 people underneath him he's got to manage and yada yada. No, just making fun. So, yeah, well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for joining us tonight, those who did, and we'll catch you next week with some Monster Hunter stuff. Be sure to follow at Hunters Hub Pod on Twitter. We did release the Flesh and Blood episode finally. We recorded Monday, but I had a lot of other things to get ready, like the art and the theme. Jacob did a wonderful job on a new theme for the Flesh and Blood show. It reminds me of Mortal Kombat music. You did a really good job with it.
Nice.
It's pretty good. So be sure to check out that show. We just released the Tiny Tina Bickering Bucks a couple weeks ago, so catch up on that because it's going to be a while on Stranger of Paradise. And so yeah, if you guys want to follow Ace at Ace Badger Gaming on Twitter.
Been posting some clips from Generations Ultimate and also some crowns.
Yeah, I saw the crowns. I didn't see the Gen U clips yet, but yeah.
Then yesterday I was getting me and some randos were getting our cheeks slapped by several Bloodbath Diablos. So that was fun.
That's rough. That's a rough monster. I remember us doing that with Morg, and it was a ride.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I feel like doing any hunt with Morg is just a ride because he's such a wild card.
He is
both with how he hunts, and then both with how he like makes his sets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was good though. He was really good at the game. So, and then if you guys want to talk to Sasha, be sure to join the Discord because that's where she's at. So we should be open. Should be on my Twitter. We've had a couple people find it through there, and if, of course you don't know, it's always welcome to ask, and I'll send a link. But otherwise, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll catch you next week. And in Sasha's case, 2 weeks. See ya.
Bye, Steve.